What are some of your earliest memories? Hey, you weren't born in Chester. You moved here. Tell me about that.
Well, I was born in Brunswick County, Virginia, and my family moved here from Prince George County in 1923. And we had been going to church in Prince George, the Methodist Church. So naturally, we started going to the Methodist Church on Winfrey Street. And 2 years later, when I was 12 years old, I joined the church. And Mr. Fielding was the pastor. And
tell me about some of the people you remember. Remember when you first moved here and you started going to the church on Winfrey Street? Who are some people that you remember when you first got here? Who's some of the names? Do you remember?
Well, some of the old families that have been here almost as long as I have. The Goodwins, the Goins, the Hatchers, the Burtons, and I don't know. But then they built the new church in 1927. We moved up to the new church. And the old church, I guess the school board must have rented it because it was a basketball court. They didn't have gymnasium. And there was a basketball court. And that's where they played basketball.
In the community did?
In the old church on Winfrey Street. And then I guess they sold it, somebody bought it for a house, so it's still there. But in 1927, when we moved up to the new church, and Miss Moore was one of my Sunday school teachers at the old church. And I can't remember exactly who was my teacher, except Wilma Clark. And Wilma Clark taught me, and Miss Bisacker, Clyde Bisacker, in the new church.
What was Sunday school like? And you were a youth when Mrs. Moore was teaching. Is that true?
No, I was right after I joined church. 12 years old in the old church.
Okay.
But then when I was a teenager, Miss Wilma Clark.
Wilma Clark.
And Mrs. Bisacker.
Do you remember what Sunday school was like back then?
Well, of course, all the rooms have changed now, but we had 3 rooms on one side, and it was nice. I've always enjoyed Sunday school and church.
You didn't have you didn't have the same kind of curriculum we have today. How was it different, what you studied?
Well, we met, all of us met for opening exercise in the fellowship hall.
Oh, everybody?
Everybody.
That was the first thing you did when you got to
Yes,
church?
That was everything we did. Then we went to our classes. And but literature was pretty much the same, I think. I'm not sure about that.
Now, in terms of size of the classes, how many people were we talking about back then at the Winfrey Street?
Not very many. I guess 10 or 12 maybe was as large as.
Well, how could they support a pastor with that few people? Was he wasn't a pastor just at that one church. He had other churches too? You know?
No, but the congregation grew after, the congregation really grew when they built the new church.
In 27.
In 27. And, somehow they did.
Do you remember what it was like through the Depression in the 30s? How that affected the church?
Well, not exactly. I know I know how it affected the family, but somehow we survived. And
how are things different for the family?
Well, we didn't have. Like I said, we survived, everybody else did, and we didn't have motors or anything like that. We were still happy.
Yeah.
Happy family.
You came from a family of 8 children, right?
But most all the families in Chester were large then. The Goodwins and the Burtons and Hatchers, and they were all large families.
So when it came to home chores and duties, everybody pitched in?
Yes. We did.
Well, that's important. I tell you have to.
I had to wash dishes and somebody had to dry them. And my brothers had to bring in wood for wood stoves.
Yeah.
You know, they had little wagons and they had brought in wood. And it was a preacher named Mr. Williams, and there was a Williams Aid Society. And once, when I was talking to her, she said, yes, she forgot to tell you, but she did remember that too. Before it was a WFCS. And somewhere in my mind there was one called the Willing Workers Circle. But I couldn't get Hazel Burton. I think she probably knew, but I couldn't ever get her.
And what did they do?
Well, it was like the WFCS. You know, it was later the WFCS. It was a woman's society. And then of course they changed from the Women's Society to the United Methodist Women.
Right.
And then all these circles gone from the United Methodist Women.
Yeah, so it was missions oriented.
Yeah, mission.
Can you think of some of the
missionaries? Three circles are named for missionaries. Frances Allen, Miss Frances Allen, and she was a missionary in India, a nurse, and a real good friend of Virginia Whitson's. And then the Betty Fairbanks and Brooklyn, and all the missionaries.
I see.
And then they had two more, of course, the Hatcher, Bessie Hatcher's named for Miss Hatcher. And Miss Hatcher had the cradle roll. And she used to sit up at the top of the steps. And but my sister said she has a certificate from Miss Hatcher.
Oh, really?
She was a cradle roller.
Wow.
But then after, of course, after I grew up and all, I remember going to Lynchburg as a representative from the youth to Randolph-Macon College for a week.
What did you do there?
I really wanted to go because my best friend that was a member of Howland Church in Verona Heights. And so Jimmy Woolard was an inspiration in my life, I think, Jimmy Woolard. And he saw it to that I got to go. And we went to Petersburg and got on a train and rode to Lynchburg.
Was Jimmy a member of our church?
Yes, Jimmy and Florence Woolard. And she's Miss Pettigo now, but she taught Sunday school. But
what did you do in Lynchburg? What's it doing?
it was like
Retreat
of course,
or
you know,
training
yes,
session?
it was for the youth, and I had to come back and give a presentation of that week and what I learned and everything.
How many youth were there back at that time in the church?
I guess we had, at the NYF we used to have, I guess, maybe 20.
Good.
20. Wilma had an old Ford that had a rumble seat.
A rumble seat.
And girls would all climb in that thing and she'd haul us around, and half had a Oldsmobile, and it had a rumble seat. And he'd take all the boys.
Tell me about the rumble seat.
Oh goodness, we'd
like.
love for Wilma to take us. She would take us in different places, and she would be there on Sunday night, at NYF. And the Purdue's had a cabin somewhere down the river. I don't think I could even find it now. But we all used to go down there and swing on the grapevine swings out in the water. And I asked Marguerite if she remembered that too, and she said, yeah, many times she'd been in that too. And,
must have been fun riding in that car, though.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Now, what is a rumble seat? I don't really know.
It's something you let up in the back of it, and Lord, we just crowed in there. And
how many people would you get in that seat?
Yeah, we'd just get all over it, and she would take us. But we'd love for Wilma to take us riding in there.
Yeah.
And it was family of Martins, Dolly and Martin, and Nunley's, Evelyn Nunley, and Almond, and there was a lot of people in Chester. Oh, well, everybody knew everybody. In other words, every family knew every family.
Pretty close.
Pretty close. Pretty close.
What were some of the social functions that you had at church? The things you did for fun and to be together?
Well, where the old parsonage used to be, where the new church is now, there was a youth summer, like on Saturday night that you could go, you know, there was chaperones, and they would, it was open, you know, for anybody in the community as well as I can remember, but they had that, and
what would they do?
well, they just I didn't really go to that because I was older then, but I remember them having that. And but then after
what were some of the church-wide things that everybody did together?
well, they used to go and ride a train to Ocean View and have a picnic down there.
Ocean View. Now there was some park down there?
Well, it's on down near Virginia Beach,
Mm-hmm.
Ocean View.
Okay.
No, it was
Yeah.
Buffalo Beach. I believe it was Buffalo Beach.
Mm-hmm.
But they ride the train and go to Buffalo Beach for the picnic.
The whole church
From
would?
church. Yeah.
That sounds fun.
But they were
Right.
But then of course, after I married and my children came on, I did move to Colonial Heights for a little while. My second son was born in Colonial Heights.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only time I left Chester. And when they came along, I started teaching the primary department. Jean Stewart and I taught the primary now.
Now when you say primary, you taught Sunday school for what ages?
Well, they were like 3 and 4, 4, 5, somewhere along in there. It's so long I can't remember exactly.
That's how old they were?
Yeah. And so then I don't know, I've just been active ever since. You know, take them in.
So you've been active in women's circles and as a Sunday school teacher?
Not a Sunday school teacher regular, but any kind of alpha class I have taken a few times. But I started the fellowship after all the children got up in, you know, and all. I started the fellowship class and stayed in there for years. And Bill Moore was a teacher, Mr. Papalo. And then when the Cairo Alpha class was organized, Hazel Harper and Jim Montanay organized the Cairo Alpha class, and that was a big class. That was a big class, and it's, we moved. I think I've been in a Sunday school room all over that church. We had moved all over different rooms, you know. And of course, I remember the old sanctuary. And Mr. Walter Purdy was an organist, and he taught the ladies' Bible class. And I've got a picture of his class with my mother, and I thought I knew right where to put my hands on it, and I could not find it. I don't know where it is. But some of the ladies in there was Lottie Goin, Adele's mother, Ms. Blankenship, Charlotte Ruffin's mother, Ms. Tyler, Ms. Sanders, my mother, Ms. Coon, and I wish I could have found that picture. Ms. Grant, Francis Grant's mother, and Mr. Walter Purdy taught them. And then the next organist, I think, Ms. Bisacker played the organ a while. And then Jen Ruffin, James Ruffin's wife.
Did you sing in the choir?
No, I never sang in the choir.
You remember the organist?
I told her, I said, I didn't feel my talent, so I was just cooking or something. But I've been on the administrative board 3 or 4 different times.
Is that right?
You get off and then been on, you know. And I fixed communion. I got to tell you about communion.
Okay.
There was no such thing as altar guild in those days, you know. And way back, Nancy Parnell and her mother and Verona Dodd and I did it every other month. And we said 10 or 12 years, and Nancy said, yeah, that was about right. And then...
You prepared the
yeah.
elements, kept
Okay.
everything shiny and
Oh,
things?
for the communion.
Every other month, so somebody else would do
Every
it.
other month, just us four. Were the
Uh-huh.
only ones that were doing it. Every 1 month, Ruby and Nancy took it. The next month, Verona now. Well, then Verona left and went to the Baptist church, and Miss Garrison, Mary Garrison, Mr. Garrison was here, so she helped me while she was here.
Mm-hmm.
And I never will forget the first time she said, "Let's instead of have bread, let's have you send wafers,
Uh-huh.
So she bought them. But we did we get complaints?
Oh, you got a lot of complaints about the wafers?
Oh, they got stuck in the roof of the mouth, and all.
Yeah. So did you stop using the wafers?
Well, yeah.
You did.
She bought them. But going back to
Mm-hmm.
how I started, I took that job from Clarence Curtis's mother, Ida Curtis.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time that I fixed it, she told me to come to her house, and she showed me how to cut the bread, but she said, we use real soft bread, it has to be a little stale, something. And she helped me cut the bread. Well, from then on, like I said, you took a job in church then, you stayed with it.
Uh-huh.
And we did it for at least 10 or 12 years.
Mm.
And I don't know exactly when the Altar Guild started, but there was no such thing as the Altar Guild,
Mm-hmm.
And, and I don't think we had flowers every Sunday in church. I don't know. And I don't know exactly when it started, but I don't remember.
Mm-hmm. What has kept you at Chester United Methodist Church? What has been the real draw and the strengths of the church for you?
I think it's a close-knit church, and I mean, a lot of people don't think so, but I just enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't go, I miss it.
Yeah.
And I just, I guess it's because I've always been to church ever since I could remember.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I just think it's a good, loving Christian church.
Mm-hmm. That's good. If you were to think about a time of hardship for the church, a time when the church struggled, can you describe a time like that?
I don't know how to put that.
No particular time when things are really rough.
It just seems like we've always managed
Mm-hmm.
some way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. I remember when they built the new sanctuary, Charles Bartholomew was there. And he led the procession from the old church, singing How Great Thou Art, going over to the new church.
Oh.
And his daughter, Mary Sue, was the first one married in the new church.
So you sang, going from the old church to the new church, singing How Great Thou Art, and everybody processed together. That's
came
wonderful.
down those tall steps, and everybody came out the old sanctuary with the hymnals,
Uh-huh.
and the procession going to the new church.
That was a very meaningful time, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was a meaningful thing, saying How Great Thou Art.
Mm-hmm. I understand that I heard that the Baptist church provided the flowers for the first Sunday you were in the new church. That was a nice thing to do. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember that.
But you said that once you moved to the new church, the church really grew in numbers. More people came.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yes, yeah, it just started growing. I mean, we outgrew, really, classrooms, in the old church.
Mm-hmm.
We really outgrew classrooms, and we needed it.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, some of them didn't want to, when they started putting the division in the old sanctuary. A lot of them didn't want to do it, but we needed the classrooms.
Mm-hmm.
And we have 6 nice rooms. And I have some good memories in that old sanctuary.
Do you?
Yeah.
Those stained glass windows are so pretty, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Yes, some good memories in that old church.
Mm-hmm. Is there something that you know that maybe only a very few people know about the church? Some little piece of information that maybe a lot of people don't know.
No, I think you could. I guess you can tell you more than anybody.
What kind of as you look at this congregation over the years, and if you were to describe it in just a few words, what sets our congregation apart? What has kept it going? What has kept our church going? What characteristics does it have?
I don't know. I think the pastors have a lot to do with it. We've had some good pastors.
Who are some of the ones that have been your favorites, the ones that have made a real impact on the church, in your opinion?
Well, Bill Webster has helped me a lot, because I lost a son and my husband within 3 years. And of course I kind of favor him because he helped me so much during that time. But we've had other pastors too that done the same thing for others, you know.
Sure.
But I think that just the fellowship and the community and just pulling together. The whole.
How is worship different now than it used to be?
Well, we have, we didn't have, we read scriptures and sang a few hymns, but we didn't have a lot of extra that we have now. A lot of extra things that they were just playing over good worship service. And we just have so much now that the pastor doesn't really have time. I don't think he has enough time for his service.
For the sermon part of it?
I've heard, some people say that he should have more time for sermon.
Because it used to be that took the bulk of the time of the service, right?
Yeah, the bulk of the time was the service. But sang the 3 hymns, and scripture and collection, but not a whole lot of extra. Of course, they had the choir, and they sang. There's a lot of extra things going on now. It takes up a lot of time.
Yeah. What advice would you give our church as we look to the future? What do we need to remember in terms of what we need to do, in terms of our mission as a church? What do we need to do? What advice?
I don't know.
Big
You
question,
won't cut some of this out, I know.
It'll be added.
Don't cut it.
Sure.
Quote me on all this.
I've heard you say things like that people stick together, and how you managed, and you're close knit. Some of those things sound like real strengths in a church.
Yeah.
People work together.
If things don't go right or something, then somebody will say, well, I said, well, I'm not going to let anybody run me away, I'm going to stick with my church. I'm not going to leave because of something, which I know some people have, just because of something they didn't like. But I said, the Lord knows what I'm doing, and I'm just going. I don't care what the others do. It's how I feel.
Sounds like you've been a very loyal person. That's important, isn't it?
I said, I'd say I have to speak for myself, and not somebody else does. And I've always felt that way.
I admire that.
that I said, I don't want to leave because of so, Adele Maxwell made the same remarks. There's a lot of things she don't like, but she said, nobody's going to run me away from my church. She's been there so long too, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then they pick up and go somewhere else and still not satisfied.
Mm-hmm. Well, Chester United Methodist Church is your church, and we're very glad you're a part of it. And we're glad that you can be a part of this celebration as we think about the last 120 years that this church has been going. And our prayer is that it will continue to be strong and continue to be important for folks that are members.
Well, that's what I hope too. We'll just get together and be strong, and the Lord will take care of us.
Amen.